Hello everybody, good afternoon in this beautiful backyard of the Oaks Victorian Inn. I hope you will enjoy the change of scenery from the classroom into this beautiful place. And Jason and Shannon, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity this afternoon for listening to your story of your dream of starting the business and now of managing the business. Many people dream about starting a business, they think about it, they talk about it, just like some of the students did, but a lot fewer actually will take the risk and put forth the effort, the very hard work it takes to start a business. So we are ready now to listen to your story. Shannon and Jason, I'm turning it over to you. We are ready to listen to what you have to share with us.
And our fantastic audio people ask that everybody please silence your phones.
So to go back, I mean, the way I think about it historically speaking, the reason why we got into this business is because of our past and what we've experienced in our jobs in our past that brought us to this point. And my background way back since I was in high school and all the way through college was actually the grocery business. I worked for a large grocery chain on the West Coast as a store manager, and our main focus, just like any other business, is customer service. And we had the company I worked for had a very intense customer service program, a little secret shopper program. So, and it tested everybody, put everybody kind of in secrecy on the spot, whether they knew how to deal with customers. And I learned tremendous amount of people skills, things like that, from, like I said, since high school all the way up through 16, 17 years of that career. And I think because it became a challenge to actually meet people's needs, to anticipate people's needs and things like that. So through my life, I've just kind of built on that, going from grocery to, we moved back here to Virginia and we opened New River Coffee Company back in 2001. And we had that for about 6-7 years here in the Valley. We had a couple locations, but again, it all deals with customer service and developing relationships with people, which is extremely important. Mm-hmm. And then from there, after that experience of starting and operating that business, we moved back to the West Coast, and both of us spent 10, 11, 12 years in hospitality hotel business. So, and Shannon's got a lot more hotel experience previous to that too, but going into the hotel industry was another challenge with meeting people's needs and creating great experiences for people and having people leave with a smile on their face. Mm-hmm. So I worked at a boutique hotel downtown Bend, Oregon, and for 11 years in the guest services side of it, and our hotel was always up in the top 10 in the nation when it came to TripAdvisor service, and so it was fun, and it's always a challenge. I always found to make that guest happy, and that kind of what led me into this dream of ours. And then,
are you allowed to share one of the guest experiences where you helped one of the real famous ones?
Oh, well, we had all kinds of famous people. All kinds. You mean names?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Bill Cosby and Robert Plant and
Zac Efron.
Yeah,
that
Zac
was pretty
Efron
cool.
and
Yeah.
Witherspoon, Reese Witherspoon. I mean,
So-
we were the place to go to in Bend, Oregon. And so all the celebrities came and they always stayed with us, and we had a lot of bands and performers, and so yeah, we've dealt with quite a few. So
and I always
it was
found
fun.
out after the fact. They'd already left before I found out at home, and I'm like, wait a minute.
It's privacy. The guest
Privacy
always
is
has the
so
privacy.
important.
Yeah.
We don't share when people are on property and those details. So yeah. Well, so my background, I was actually born and raised here in Blacksburg. My family still is in the area, and one of my very first jobs was at the Holiday Inn, which is no longer there. It's right across the street from Montgomery Regional Hospital. And I was going to Ferrum and home for the summer and started working front desk and realized that hotel is just, it's a fun job. You meet really cool people. You meet people from all over the place, and you learn how to anticipate and try to find the problem before it happens, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that people have an exceptional stay. After Jason and I met, I started working at a resort in Oregon, and quickly went from being a guest service employee to guest service manager, then concierge manager, front office manager. Climbed my way within this one company, and got my gold keys as a Le Clé d'Or Gold Key concierge. And that is, if you have a 5-star hotel, you have to have a gold key concierge for that status. So that again educated me on exceptional service, making sure that you take it to that next level of exceptional service for the guests. But so background, we are guest service people, and it's kind of funny because at the end of the day, being married to each other, we'd come home and we'd share, what did you do today? What was that next big expectation, or what happened at work today that was over the top and fun? And sometimes it's getting the perfect coffee for a guest and you got that compliment, or you got that great review, or you anticipated that somebody needed a razor, you know. So we always do that next big step.
Yeah.
So then we had the pandemic. And so us both in the hospitality industry, a lot of people got the hotels closed down, people quit traveling. I went through not just one, but 2 major layoffs, and had the opportunity to come home and see family here. And I saw that this beautiful property was for sale. Now, growing up as a child, this was my dream house. I don't know how many of you all have seen this house before. I had never been in it, but to actually drive by as a child and see it, I always thought that a princess lived here. And so to actually be living here now, it's kind of living the dream that we both understand hospitality and hotel. Why not do our own business? So here we are. I came back, went through the house, called Jason and said, wow, we can do this. We know how to do it. And then here we are.
Yeah, and we were looking on the West Coast, we were looking at small little, the old motels, you know, with maybe 12, 14, 16 rooms. We were looking at investing and doing our own thing over there. But we never found the right one that fit what we wanted to do. And then this just kind of happened. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
So how do you make that work? How do you make it come together? It's not as easy as calling home and saying, hey, we're going to buy this place, because you know what? We're not rich people.
No, we worked hard our whole lives.
We are the working class. And Jason was
pursuing a dream.
Jason was a bellman, I was a concierge, and here we are. It comes together with a really good business plan. And so I started sketching it out with Jason's help, and together we put together numbers and forecasts and started knocking on bank doors and saying, hey, we need a loan. How are we going to make this come together?
Yeah, and you got to remember, we only have 6 rooms to rent, so you got to make all the numbers fit. You only have 6 rooms. It's not a lot of. It's not like a 100-room hotel, so there's not a lot of room for error, in a sense.
So the first bank that we worked with, they got very excited, happy to give you the loan. I put together a business plan that showed forecasting of us going, being open 40% or rented 40% of the time, and the numbers kind of came together. Right when we were about to start doing the paperwork on the loan, the bank came back and they were, wait a minute, this is a hospitality loan. We're not doing that because of the pandemic. Our buckets are full. And it was like, what does that mean? And I had no idea that banks actually have allocated funds that go to specific businesses. And so they were saying this past year was so hard on hotels
Because of COVID.
and because of COVID,
Yep.
that we have to shut down any loans that go for hotel and hospitality. And we went into panic mode because at this point, our house is going on the market in Oregon. Did we say that we were living in Oregon? We did. Okay.
I think so.
And so we real quickly started reaching out to other banks, and we had quite a few right up front that the exact same response. Nope, can't help you. Nope, can't help you. And then we finally got a hold of Pinnacle, and they actually invest in not just small businesses, but they invested in hotel and hospitality and historical properties. So those were our two winners, is that we were a small startup, we also were a historical building, and we were hospitality, and they had enough room to bring us on board. So writing the forecast, looking at a 12-month window, and then we went out to 2 years, started writing how much money do we have to make to pay the loan and actually show profit. And it was really nice because the bank was actually really good at advising us and giving us some support in that part of it as well. We broke out the business plan with each individual room, not as a business in a whole, just saying this room is going to rent how many times a month, and then also doing what they call RevPAR, but looking at how the numbers are going to fluctuate based on demand. So if we have a weekend, we want to do a 2-night minimum because weekends are most popular. If we have a Virginia Tech football game, prices are going to be a little bit higher.
Quite a bit higher. We found out. What we do is we look at local hotels and what they're charging. We can go on and see what they're charging too, because really we were new to this when it came to football games, and we didn't realize it drew that much attention to Christiansburg and Blacksburg. So we were kind of running blind in that sense, but we learned very quickly that we got to raise the prices just to be up there with everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So building, we got the website live. Oh, and that was another surprise too, wasn't it? Well, I guess back to the bank. So finally the loan all came together. The bank was very supportive, and they said, how much capital are you going to need to open up, and actually pushed us to make the capital a little bit bigger than we expected, because we were buying a furnished house, and we got here in the house, instead of being fully furnished, was probably more like 30% furnished. So we needed funds to be able to do the furnishings. We needed funding to help with linens, shampoos, amenities.
All amenities, all the new beds. We just refurnished pretty much the whole house.
Mattresses, linens. So a whole bucket goes towards all those things that you need to get it open, and then also finding items, getting here and actually getting our hands on the items that we needed, right? Then website. So next important thing, going on the social media and marketing. When we sold our house in Oregon, hopped in our car, and I said, we need to start letting people know that we're coming. And so we started a blog coming across the country. And you want to share about that? Or yeah?
You can probably describe it better than I can, but because actually she did all the postings and everything, so you're probably better than I am. But
so
it was just a resource to kind of get the word out, kind of create some excitement, and have people start following what was going on in our lives, and it actually exploded much quicker and much more than we thought it would. I don't know how that all works. She does.
We started, it was very interesting, just started a blog, and it just kept growing and growing with us posting daily on our travels across the country, coming to the Oaks and sharing the story about, this was my dream house, this was something we were excited that we were doing together as a couple. We were picking up and selling everything that we had on the West Coast and coming back home, and it just started growing and growing and growing. That when we got here, it was cute. We walked into our storage unit, and the girl at the storage unit recognized us, and we went,
From the blog.
"What?"
Like,
And she
Wonderful.
goes, "You're here." We have been so, and it was just, it was like, "What? Really?
No.
How do you know that?" And so, yeah, and it's amazing what social media can do in a business positive way. It can also go the opposite direction too if you're not careful. Um, our LLC, we actually did a umbrella for our business name. So the business name is the Oaks Victorian Inn. We have an umbrella name, which is our LLC, is the Bellman and the Concierge. That's us. And then we also registered possible future businesses we might be able to spin off of from this business someday. So that could be a coffee shop, that could be a restaurant, that could be anything. But we actually came up with additional names that we've logged underneath those LLCs that we have locked down already. Just trying to think of the big picture where we're going to take it. And then with all that buzz and social media, this kind of stuff starts happening. We had the Roanoke Times reach out to us and ask if they could write an article, and they came in and did video and wrote or interviewed us, and that's when we had a lot of like blank moments. And we thought we were going to be in an insert on a Sunday morning, and then lo and behold, Monday morning we were the front page. And when something like this happens, other papers pick it up. So then we found out that we made many papers across the state of Virginia,
All the way up to Pennsylvania. We got phone calls.
Lots of phone calls and lots of bookings coming in. So
yeah, it was pretty amazing. Free advertising.
exactly.
The kind you like.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it was amazing how fast it spread. Yeah, it's awesome.
Extra special things that we've added, trying to bring that not just the beauty of the house, because the house is spectacular. We love it. We keep pinching ourselves in awe that we're even here, that this has all come together. The rooms are magnificent, but we've changed names of rooms, trying to bring the history of the house back. Now can we tell the story of the house?
Well, it's interesting because I didn't realize, I'd never seen the house before we bought it actually. I saw pictures and the video that when she walked through it, but I never saw it with my own eyes until we drove into the driveway coming from Oregon. And I didn't realize the house itself was, so many people knew about it. And it's a historical home, yes, but I just didn't realize it was such a part of the community, and that people were so excited for us to bring it back. I just didn't expect it, and it's still kind of strange to me in a sense. But like this morning, I looked out the window, I was making a coffee, and two people were walking up the driveway, just walking up from Main Street. And I was like, "Who's that?" And so I went out, and we always go out and greet them, and we like to meet everybody. And these folks used to live in Christiansburg when they were younger. They were raised here. They're now married and they live in Salem. And they came up just to walk the neighborhood because they wanted to walk the historical neighborhood. They had a brochure in their hand from the museum down the road, and it had our house in it. And they were like, "We were just walking the tour, and just wanted to get a closer look." And normally, and Shannon and I are very open. We want to bring people into the house and share the house with people. So, and I told them, unfortunately, we had a group coming. I couldn't let them in the house, but to come back at another time because we would love to share it. But I don't think I was ready for that in a sense, to be so much out in the eye of everybody. But it's really amazing. It's absolutely, it's an amazing house, and the history is crazy cool.
Do you want to tell the story of the house?
Well, it was
The year of it?
Yeah, it took 4 years to build this thing. And when you go in, you'll see all the detailed woodwork, and it's amazing. 4 years of construction, 1889 to 1893. It was built by Major Pierce, who was his name, and he built it for his bride as a wedding gift. And when they moved in, they were married already, and they already had one child. But after they moved in, they had six more children in this house. So it was full of life. What we want to kind of bring that back is the life of the children, the life of the family, and what it was like to live in that era. And that's one of our goals. You'll see pictures throughout the house that we found in the basement, actually, that we've blown up.
Yeah, we've got the great-granddaughter actually visiting tomorrow, and she's bringing a lot of the history with her, and that she's going to share the stories of the family here as well.
So and
we're
then
excited
Julia
about
is the wife's name, the mother's name, and she lived here for the rest of her life until she was 98 years old, and she actually passed away in the house. So it's got a lot of memories, and it's got some good spirits. Good spirits.
In terms of items that we brought to the house that's unique to the business, with Jason's customer service background, we brought some really cool things from the boutique hotel. So we have a soap menu that everybody thinks is just the neatest thing. We have really high-end body washes and shampoos that we're using. But then if you prefer a bar of soap, we actually have a list of multiple different types of soaps that you could try and use that they might prefer. And to get that, people they just think that's the coolest thing. Really, you have different soaps?
Unique.
Okay, pretty unique. And that's what we're trying to do, is find that little uniqueness. We're gonna do a pillow menu. So if your pillow is too firm or too soft, we actually have other options if you have allergies. We have a PMS system, so when you come onto our website and you're looking at the rooms on the website, you might go to book the room. It will go onto a next platform called your PMS system, and that is where you're going to actually book it. And then there's a lot of information that we capture on there. So we capture name, phone number, email address, mailing address, demographics. And I'd love to, if anybody is interested in hotel industry, to talk to you about the power of knowing your demographics. Who's coming to stay with you and why they're staying with you, and where are they coming from? Because now you're looking at fly market and you're looking at drive market. Are they driving to you? Are they flying to you? And if you can actually look at, if you have more people coming to stay with you, say from Pennsylvania, or Atlanta, Georgia, you may start taking your marketing money and advertising in those specific markets instead of sending all your advertising to Florida, for an example. So just interesting building that information and getting all those details. We also, before we arrived, we signed up with a platform that has phone numbers that we can track onto. So we've got a toll-free number and we've got a local number that we can actually see where people are calling from. And I'm trying really hard to not go with third-party marketing, which is your Amazon, or not Amazon, I'm sorry, Expedia, Booking.com, Airbnb, because you have to pay commission. And we are just not that big. We only have 6 rooms and we have to maximize to the highest amount that we possibly can. And paying commissions, all of a sudden, that bottom line, your profits start kind of going out the door.
Yeah, because usually those sites they're budget sites, and they're trying to sell the rooms as cheap as possible, because they're just trying to make a sell, and that's not our goal here. Is just to sell to just anybody. We want to make it really personal, and people that are willing to spend the higher dollar for the higher dollar room, those are the guests we want, because we can give them the attention, the expertise, the concierge service. So that's what we want. And usually when we get a reservation, not usually, every time, when we get a reservation, we actually personally call those guests before they come in, because we want to get to know them before they get here. And we want to know what their expectations are, where they're coming from, and why are they coming here. And that way we can relate to them and we can get to know them on a personal level. So when they drive in, we can call them by their first name and make it just as personal as possible. And that'll go so far in this type of a business, because they'll tell so many people about it, and it's just word of mouth. And that's really how we're getting all our bookings right now.
Word of mouth.
Mostly word of mouth. So, yeah.
Let's see. The other neat thing that we're doing is Jason is a phenomenal barista.
Coffee.
We love coffee. So we are doing actually a cafe doorside service. So bet you think bed and breakfast, we are not a bed and breakfast. We are actually a boutique inn. So what does that mean? We are a small, unique business that is sharing a beautiful experience here. We're not doing the bed and breakfast as typical where they have everybody come together at 9 o'clock at one big huge dining room table and you have breakfast together with the whole group. You're actually going to get the option of choosing off of a cafe menu when you check in. You choose what coffee you'd like, or if you prefer tea, or maybe you don't drink any of it. Maybe you have orange juice, but you choose whatever beverage you want, what time you want it. We'll provide a tray with your beverage, usually really nice coffee, a fresh baked item of the day, and then fresh fruit. Knock on the door, it's door side, so it's really high-end room service. And then you enjoy it in the beauty of your room. And it is just everybody loves it. So far, it is just being received so well that people love that experience. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything else? What else?
Well, Shannon, since I was treated like a queen here, yes, Jason is a barista, but tell them maybe something about the blog and who does the preparation of the food, the scones,
Oh, sure.
So
She's
that
the cook.
enhances the
She's the baker.
experience. Yes, yes,
Creates
yes,
all the
yes.
food, that's for sure.
So the last 10, 12 years, I was doing more advisory work with hotels and resorts, so a company called Navis, and I was doing the advisory work for huge resorts actually in Hawaii. At one point I had 27 different properties that I was working with, and so I learned the marketing side of it, social media, and it was funny. I was kind of the older guy. A lot of my coworkers were referring to me as mom, and my son, who's in college right now, he's a junior. He challenged me a few years ago and he said, Mom, you need to get out there and do something on social media, do a blog or do a vlog. He was trying to get me to do a vlog, and I was no way. And he said, find something you like. And so I started a blog about cooking. And we were in Oregon at the time. And so my mindset was sharing stories of memories of childhood in the Appalachian or in Virginia, country recipes that if you think of one of your favorite meals, there's got to be a story around it. So it might be something that your mom made or that your grandmother made or that maybe your dad, and that you had such a great experience to remember around that, and there's always a story behind that. So that's what I started doing, sharing these great childhood stories and then sharing other family stories. So there is actually a blog out there that's been running for quite some time, and it's gone international. So there's quite a few people that are reading it. And when we started traveling across the country, I stopped cooking, of course, because we're driving. I started getting notes from people going, "Are you okay? Because you quit sharing recipes and items with us." And so I have to get back onto that a little bit better. But I am doing the cooking.
Yeah, the cooking.
and,
She does scones, muffins, little quiches. I mean, people are very happy.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's
Very
been fun.
tasty.
It's
She
been
does a great
fun.
job. Very
Yes.
creative.
Yeah.
Very, very tasty.
And then items when we got here to the house, there were items that we needed to seriously address. So there were some top expense items. One of them you'll see today, it's behind you. The deck actually was completely falling off the house. When I saw it in February, it had snow on it. When we got here, it was completely unsafe. So we had to have that refurbished and rebuilt. The thing of the house being a historical landmark, you have to do things like for like. So that's really hard to do. So we were really fortunate. I feel like we had a little angel looking over us, but we actually found the exact pickets in Pennsylvania, and we found 2 young men that just got their license for construction. They had time, they came in and did a phenomenal job and built our beautiful deck. So now we've got a great place for people to watch the sunsets.
But it was definitely one of those unexpected expenses that we walked into. So, and every business is going to have that. Every time we went in to fix something, we found something else. And it's an old house, so you're always going to have something that needs to be fixing. So yeah, we went into it knowing there's going to be some expenses, but we did come across quite a few more. We actually added a whole AC system for the second floor. Every room upstairs on the second floor had a window unit air conditioner that was hanging out of the window, and it had been there for probably 20 years. They were all like glued in and caulked in and everything. So we cut all those out, and we replaced it with an air conditioning system up there. So that was another, pretty much, it was a planned event, but we didn't know it was going to be so much. But and then we had the fences replaced and just things that we didn't know. But again, it's just going to happen. I mean, that happens. Just make it work.
We put a lot of work into it, and I'm a firm believer that if you work really hard and you believe in it enough, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. And we came in with just a good attitude on it, and every time something broke, we kind of chuckled and went, well, let's get to work. So
Fix it.
here we are.
Get it done. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Shannon and Jason.
You're welcome.
This was very enlightening,
you.
very, very interesting.
Hope so.
And we are going now to the second part of our time with you and give the students an opportunity to ask you questions.
Okay.
So, Jose? Okay, thank you. All right, who would like to start? Okay.
How long did it take for y'all to become profitable?
Unfortunately, it's not there yet. We just opened August 16th. So we were planning on, when we moved here, we thought the house was going to be much more turnkey ready in May. We were going to open in June. Of course, it wasn't what we thought it was. So it just took longer, took a couple months longer, August 16th. And now I could say that our revenue right now is probably very close to our expenses, so it is getting closer, and we foresee, we've got bookings in the future, like October will be a profitable month, but we do have a lot of expenses we're still paying for, so that kind of
That
throws a cue into that. But
the
it's a good question.
and time-wise, I don't know if everybody understood that. So I came on Valentine's Day this past February, and then we sold our house in a day and a half in Oregon, and we were here in May. And then we thought we'd be open in June. That didn't happen. Then we thought we'd be open in July, and finally we got open July 16th. August 16th, and we've been running ever since. So this has all come together in a very short period of time.
Yeah, and also we're trying to avoid. We don't want to book. This kind of sounds weird. We don't want to sell too many rooms right now because we wanted to go into it 100% prepared for all the guests and give the guests, each and every guest that comes in, a great experience, and we don't want to miss anything. And so we're kind of learning as we go. It is different running a hotel compared to a bed and breakfast or an inn. So we're learning things every day that we need to improve on it, and we're also trying to get a rapport and also reviews and things back from the guests that have said ways we can improve in what we're doing. There's always room for improvement, so that's what we're looking for.
Thank you. Who is next?
When you had the interest in investing in the Oaks Inn, what was it like when you pulled the trigger and decided you wanted to take that leap of faith?
I didn't hear the first part of it.
When you had the interest in investing, when you knew you wanted to invest in it, what was it like when you just pulled the trigger and just took that leap of faith?
Well,
It was.
what was it like?
It was scary.
Yeah.
It was definitely scary. The funny thing about it was timing was kind of crazy because we really still didn't know if we had 100% of the loan for this because it was a startup loan. It took a lot more. Because this was closed for over 2 years, there was no past record of sales and everything that the bank could refer to. So we're considered a startup, meaning the way the bank looks at it, we're just starting this business from scratch. And so before we even got that okay from the bank, because they had to do so much more, we had sold our house. I mean, we weren't even, and so yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking. And we had a good feeling it was going to happen, but as soon as we got that response from the bank, yes, go for it, it was a relief, and we knew we could do it. We knew we could do it. We just knew it was going to be a lot of hard work, and I think we were prepared. But it was extremely exciting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if we
I was-
close that gate,
I
it
was
might
wondering, what are the
help
key
that
things you'll
noise.
look for in a good employee?
The key things we look for in a good employee. Oh, that's a good question.
Oh,
Because we don't have any employees yet.
it's us.
It's just us two. So there will be a day.
Hope so.
What do we look for? I mean, obviously, it's got to be not personality, but how people deal with people. They got to be a really good communicator, pretty outgoing and positive. You got to remember that the guest is you're going to be facing in front of the guest a lot of the time. And
A good listener.
great listener, and just self-motivated, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing about the hospitality industry is every guest is different. Every guest has a different need. Every guest has, and you just kind of have to go with it,
Yeah.
The really neat thing that, especially Jason's property that he was worked at for so long, they really did not have a limit on solving problems. So they were allowed to, if a guest needed something very specific, they were allowed to make it happen. And so that's
If
nice.
guests came in and they needed something specific and we didn't have it, we were allowed to get in the company car and drive to a store and go buy it and bring it back to the guests. I mean, of course, we're not hundreds of dollars. We're just talking about maybe a hairspray or something like that, something that maybe they forgot. But we had a lot of flexibility, and the hotel had a nice budget where they could afford to do that. But the goal was make sure that guest is happy. You never say no.
But being creative, and then, especially in the reservation side of it, trying to learn as much about that guest before they get here, talking to them on the phone. That's why we do reach out and we call people to make sure we understand. We don't want them to show up and go, oh, it's our anniversary. We want to know before they get here so that we know what is her favorite colored flowers, what year is it? Maybe we can have, if it's their 6-year anniversary, we can have 6 chocolate covered strawberries waiting for them. Maybe they don't like alcohol, maybe they like sparkling cider. We could have that waiting for them. And so just trying to be ahead of it before they arrive, and that you always have that wow factor.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right.
If you guys could start over today, is there anything you would want to do different?
Do differently.
I know for me, I would have liked to have come here and actually see the house in person and walk the grounds. And
There was a lot of trust here.
and see what I was up against, because I didn't know we were going to have to repair the fence there was a lot of unknowns. I think personally it would have made it easier. I don't think it would have changed my mind about purchasing the property. But I think that's the one thing that if I could have done different.
I think I would have been in better shape when I arrived, because there are so many stairs going from the bottom to the top.
33.
And also would have probably realized that our furniture would not fit in the upstairs that we thought. Because we packed up and hauled all of our furniture from Oregon thinking we would be able to furnish our apartment on the 3rd floor. And the staircase is only 23 inches. And so we looked at that and it was like, oh boy, we got to sell a sofa. So it was not good. Good question.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest challenge of living where you work? Or is there any challenges to that?
Biggest challenge of living where?
Where you work. Living
Oh.
where you work.
Well,
We've had these conversations, actually. It's a good question.
now you got to keep in mind you're living and working with your spouse 100% of the day, and the night. So we get we have a fantastic relationship. So the biggest challenge is you can't, and we've done this before, so we own the coffee shop. So when you own a business, it's 24/7. You're always thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it, what you got to do. You go to bed thinking what you got to do, and you don't receive that paycheck every 2 weeks or every week or whatever it is. So you're in charge of that paycheck. So working where you live, it's very challenging. You can't leave it. You know, that's you have, and that's. I mean, I admit it's hard. It's hard. It's nice to be able to just put up your apron at the end of the day and go home and not have to worry about your job, but you don't have that here. Now again, we don't have guests in house every day, so we do have some quite a bit of free time, and we have the nice thing about this is we can control our schedules when it comes to bookings. We can block days like today.
Yeah.
We blocked yesterday and today, so there's no guests to disrupt us, and we can do things like this. So working from home, yeah. Pretty nice, actually.
Well, when we have guests in the house, he can't go down in his robe and make coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's your most popular room? Is it all?
What's the question?
A most popular room?
So, Edmund, right?
Probably the Edwin and the Julia. So if you grabbed one of the brochures, there's a typo in it. So don't go off the brochure for your paper because the name is Julia. But the Julia is the one with the beautiful jacuzzi tub in it. It has a big heart-shaped tub and jacuzzi jets. The Edwin downstairs has actually, you can sleep 3 people instead of just 2. So you'll see that as well. And it's the original big dining room. It's a very large room. But honestly, every room has its beauty. The cottage is so popular too. It's like a tree house that you sleep in a loft. That you have to climb a ladder straight up. So you guys have to go look at that as well.
Cutting trees.
Why did it appeal to you to buy and renovate the Oaks Victorian Inn rather than buying another property like townhomes, which arguably has more potentially like stable income? So why would you just like go for this, which has varying income sometimes?
For an investment?
Yes.
Well, obviously this is a lifestyle type job, and we still have a handful of years before our retirement, and we're looking at this was going to be our final job until we retire. And it's we're investing in a beautiful property. We're making the business better. We're growing the businesses. I think it's just more challenging. And plus, we're meeting people. I mean, you're in hospitality. You love people, and you love meeting new people from all over the world. And I think that's the most rewarding part, is the meeting and satisfying people's needs. Whereas in a condominium investment, it's just you're renting to one person for a year, and then they leave, and then the next person comes in. This is what we love to do.
And my reasoning is probably a little more personal. Truly, this was a house that I watched as a child my whole life, and I've seen it go from disrepair to full remodel to shut down again to full remodel to shut down again. And when I came and saw it in February, it was pretty sad. It had been shut down for over 2 years, and it needed to be saved because this is such an amazing historical landmark, and I feel like we're preserving a piece of history for the community. And my vision is to start bringing the community together. I would love to do a holiday tree lighting here and have the community come in and actually be part of it. So, yeah.
What is one of the most challenging parts of being in customer service, especially in the hotel industry?
Oh,
Challenging
that one?
parts.
You don't mean to do that one.
Challenging.
One of the things that, right off the bat, knowing hotel, I think the front desk has one of the hardest jobs of the entire hotel, and that is because they take the money. A guest can come and have a fabulous day, but when they're checking out, there's always that dread of, I'm going to pay the bill now. and you have a desk between you and a guest, and if there's anything that's gone wrong, there's going to be that conflict right there where you might get the angry guest yelling at you or mad about something that has happened. You don't ever want to have to be resolving a problem at the front desk. You want to be able to have that taken care of from other people. Hopefully, you know, someone's had a bad experience in the restaurant might have gotten it resolved, or maybe housekeeping, it might have gotten resolved before it got to the front desk. I right off the bat said we're not going to do cash transactions or money transactions in the house. Set it up online that if you're going to come stay here, it's all prepaid and done before you even get on property. I don't want to talk money with you when you get here. I want you to come, have a great time, experience it, and it's done.
Yep. So when they get here, they have an invoice, a receipt in an envelope in their room with their room key. It's there, and you never have to talk money.
It's already paid for.
Unless they want to buy something from us, like we do have some books in the rooms that people can purchase, you know, something like that. But everything else, you don't. It's a great point. Another challenge, I mean, I think one of the just as important is housekeeping. And if you ever stay at a hotel or something, I think housekeepers never get as much credit as they deserve, because keeping a property clean, so there are no complaints. Every little spot on a sheet that you could miss, or a piece of hair in the bathroom. I mean, those are the things that it doesn't take much to upset a guest and ruin a stay. So housekeeping, I have a lot of respect for housekeepers. I've worked with a lot of them. I've worked in that department before to see what they experience, and that's a huge challenge to make sure, because if you can, and like she said, that concierge, whoever's checking out that person, they're leaving, if you can take care of all those little fires throughout their stay and make sure it doesn't turn into a huge flame, then that experience of paying is not an issue at all, because they're happy to be paying that money. But it's that housekeeping, I think, is amazing.
And then looking at the big picture, if you don't have a good team, if everybody's not on the same path and working towards the same goal, it's not going to work.
What advice or warnings would you give to young entrepreneurs?
What advice would I give to?
And warnings. Advice and warnings.
Advice and warning.
Advice for an entrepreneur, I would say follow your heart, follow your dreams. You know, you never give up. I mean, we spent most of our life working hard, but we've always had a dream, and it's come true to us, for us. And warnings?
Well, advice I wish somebody had told me when I was younger is to save. Get your little savings and let it grow and work for you. As soon as we finally got to the point where we started those 401ks, you get the job where you can start getting a little investment going, it starts growing for you. And then when you become our age, you actually have a little nest egg to not be so worried about, you know, possibly the future.
Good advice.
You know, and working hard. It doesn't hurt to work hard. And if you have a failure, don't beat yourself up on it, because you know what? We've all had failures. We've all had mistakes. I've had my share. Jason's had his share. And you learn from it and overcome it. And then one day, I promise you will always look back and realize, wow, that made me a better person for going through what I went through. Because life isn't easy. Life is hard. But I always say work hard. My first job, I was 16. You know, I believe in it.
Thank you.
How many employees do you think you will hire?
I didn't hear
You mean at the busiest time? I mean, if we're like,
what was the question?
how many employees do you think we'll probably need? Size like this, really probably
2, maybe.
I mean, it depends on how much work we want to do. 1 or 2 is really all we'll need for this many rooms.
So now, but there are other things that I want to do, and I really want to do some type of shuttle service that brings in like wine tours or brewery tours, or maybe transportation from the airport. If we could have transportation, now you have to bring in another person to help with that. So yeah, or if we, it depends on where we branch this to. Right now, it's just us. Ideally, it'd be nice to have help, but we're doing it.
Do y'all plan on like making like another Victorian Inn, like in the next 10 years, plan on like expanding, maybe making it bigger than what it is?
I don't think you can duplicate this because
Okay.
this is pretty spectacular, and you'll see when you go through it. If we took over if we remodeled a different house,
Yeah.
probably. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one, but I do foresee that we might do other businesses from it.
Yeah.
So, remember I said we've got that LLC umbrella. So we've got the Bellman and Concierge, and we're doing business as, which is our DBA, the Oaks Victorian Inn. We also added in there Tovi, which is a coffee company. The vision of doing coffee again.
Yeah.
The Oaks Victorian Inn is Tovi, but we found a great coffee nearby that we're using instead, which is brew coffee, and it's phenomenal. So then you go, well, what else could we possibly do? Maybe a touring outfit, but we have those avenues open to expand right now. Maybe come and ask me in 2 years what we're going to be doing.
And if we had another, are you talking about like adding more, like having
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
plus other places?
Like doing a chain.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as from a business point of view, you'll make more money probably, but we're more into the personal relationship building, and if you just have managers running your other properties, then it becomes a little bit more difficult to duplicate what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be the challenge. But yeah, obviously that's why Hilton and Marriott have 100 hotels each, or 1,000, because it's much more profitable the more rooms you have.
Yeah.
Heads
But
and beds.
It just depends on what your lifestyle, what kind of lifestyle you want, or how hard you want to work and how long you want to work, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good question. All right. Anybody else? All right, Ryan.
Yeah, were you guys worried about location? Coming back from the West Coast, kind of not being in a bigger city, sort of kind of rural.
I was. Christiansburg is, to me, is not known for, a huge outdoor recreation hub or anything like that. It's just a very small town. Where we came from was a destination recreational mecca. It was Bend, Oregon, and the hotel I worked at was right downtown, and people came from all over to come to Bend, Oregon. It was a tourist place where this is not a tourist destination. So our clientele is going to be way different than what I'm used to, and I was a little nervous. Is how are we going to get
them here
to stay with us? I know once we get them to stay, they'll have a great experience, and hopefully, then they'll come back. But getting them to come to Christiansburg, I didn't know. But then Virginia Tech came into the picture. I didn't realize how, my gosh, that's our bread and butter right now is the weekend football games. But they don't have football games year round, so we can't rely on that year round. But
we have swim meets at the aquatic center. We have fall leaves. You have people who actually travel bed and breakfasts. Had no idea that existed.
Yeah.
Just learned that one.
Yeah.
and they collect mugs.
Yeah.
So we're learning as we go along and trying to find those avenues. I know how to advertise on Booking.com and Airbnb and Expedia. I don't want to go that route. I want word of mouth, and I want that different customer that wants the traditional stay.
Yeah.
And maybe they will make it a tradition and come and see us repetitively, come back again and again. So right now we have people begging to book in 2024. And I'm like, I have no idea how to get my system to do that. Yeah. so yeah, it's really interesting, the demand right now. People want this type of stay, and they like the uniqueness, the privacy. Certainly, it's normally quiet.
Yes.
But yeah.
How many people do you all work with that are legal, like including accountants and lawyers and stuff?
That for advising?
Yes.
Well, actually today, we've got a financial advisor that we just reached out to personally to figure out what to do with, because now we're not employees of a company, we're now self-employed. So So we have to try and figure that one out again, like with our 401ks and you know, just bank accounts. We have a CPA. We'll get an accountant to help us with accounting. We have one young lady who's a friend who's been giving us, you know, tips about Virginia Tech and the area and the school events and that type of thing. But really, that's it. It's us. Yeah. We had an attorney help us set up our LLC, and that was just a really email back and forth, and that was it. It was a one-time fee. Insurance. Insurance agent.
Well, thank you, Shannon and Jason, for answering all that question. Thank you for asking very good questions, my students. It was very good to have this experience with you. We are concluding the official part of our field trip at this point in time. So for those of you who have a 3 o'clock class, you may leave, and for those of you who would like to be in a small group to take a look at the inside of the house, you're welcome to stay, all right, and take a look. It is probably like nothing you have seen before, and I encourage you to do it and tell your parents and grandparents about this lovely place, because they might want to come and stay here. I already booked my next reservations for October. I will be here every season at least once. So thank you very much.